Ladies and gentlemen, today is Saturday and I'm glad to present your news program on the television of Burkina Faso, the headlines. National Day of Customs and Tradition. The first edition was celebrated all over the country. In the 13 regions of Burkina Faso, offerings were made for peace, social cohesion and security to return. The head of state visited the National Museum on Wednesday. This visit, which was part of the activities of the Burkinabe Heritage Month, gave opportunity to Captain Ibrahim Traoré to invite all the Burkinabe to promote indigenous values. The head of state, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, visited the museum on Wednesday. The visit was part of the activities of the Burkinabe Heritage Month launched on April the 18th. The head of state took the opportunity to invite all the Burkinabe to promote indigenous values. It was the major museum's objects that first attracted the head of state at the national museums, then the village Habitat di Faso, which is made up of 10 traditional habitats. In there, the exhibition relating to traditional chieftaincy enabled the head of state to discover the symbols, the art of dress of the chiefs, war and conquest instruments formerly used by traditional chiefs. This visit to the national museums ended at the reserve. Everything I've seen here, the values of solidarity and cohesion, we have them in us. It's our culture, and we are losing it. I think we need to do our best for the training of the young people. We are currently in a time of war. I've seen a lot of things, just the reconstruction of houses. For the Minister of State, Minister of Culture, the head of state's visit to the national museums on May the 15th is historic and rich in symbolism for Burkina Faso.
C'est également une visite riche en symboles.
This is the first time that the head of state has visited the National Museum. It's also May the 15th, the Day of Customs and Traditions. It's a day rich in symbols that the head of state chose to come to visit and encourage the staff of the National Museum. I would like to invite the people of Burkina Faso to go back and discover their heritage and their origins. The head of state's visit is part of the activities of Burkinabe Heritage Month under the theme Heritage Education, a factor for social cohesion in Burkina Faso. On the occasion, the head of state, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, urged the Burkinabe to look deeply into themselves in order to bring out the values of solidarity, peace, tolerance, rigor, and fighting spirit from our roots and our culture. Burkinabe Heritage Month is still going on in the student world. This month is an opportunity to visit symbolic places and learn more about the history of Burkina Faso. Listen to some reactions of some students.
Sometimes I'm going to the network and look, and I try to have research on the history of our country, Burkina Faso, and to know more about that, what's happened in the past and what will be happening in the future.
The way I was dressing, or the way I am dressing, I've started celebrating it by dressing with my Faso da Faning and also my my hat, Sapo de Chaponais. Yeah, I use it to go everywhere I'm going till today. This is what I'm used to doing. And second thing is I've got the opportunity to share a message to students concerning the culture. It was during an English club Cultures Day. I got 5 minutes to talk about culture.
The way I celebrated was listening to many music. We can talk about Liwara, traditional music, and after I get in modern music like rap and slam, I listen to Yelem, the group Yelem.
As for me, heritage is like a DNA that is preserving our culture, tradition, and values. So when we talk about preserving culture, tradition, and value, we also see the part of language. So all this is what we call about our heritage, what our ancestors left for us. As for me, I'm like a student in English department. I'm speaking the Anglophone language, but there is no reason for me to just get focused there and forget about my culture. So I'll go back to my culture, learn about where we start, our ancestors, what they do for us first. Because if we know where we come from, for sure we know where we are going. Yeah, and like we see on the 15th of May, this is something to be acknowledged. The Day of Culture and Tradition. This is something good.
I try to visit places where I can find what our ancestors or what our grandfather left on earth here for us. Yeah, for us in order to learn more from the tradition as well as the cultures. And those places are no other than national museums, and also we have other places like Maison du Peuple. Yeah, we students, as people who are asked or support to do researches, we also visit those kind of places.
I decided as a citizen of this country to go to the National Museum to see the different heritage that we have there. Yeah, this is how I decided to celebrate mine. There, what pleases me the most and what I discovered the Moray culture. That pleases me a lot. And they have many things there, like the different statues, so on and so forth, and traditional material also.
It will allow everybody or most of people to go and check and have information about the culture and what our grandparents have done, and maybe, or even if it is not our grandparents, what we or some people have done in the past.
Culture is the soul of people. When you don't know your culture, you don't know yourself. And the government thought necessary to institute this map for the children to go back to their parents. I called my dad and I was putting him questions about the culture. Why don't you say our ethnic group doesn't eat this, our ethnic group doesn't marry those people, and those kind of things, because we don't know. But thanks to this map, we have been putting questions to our parents. We have been visiting museum, for example, the National Museum. We went there, we have seen the house of Gurunsi, the house of Fulani, the house of Mori, Samo.
Day of Customs and Traditions in Ouagadougou, 4 white rams and 12 white roosters were handed over by the Mogonaba to the sacrificers. The goal is the return of peace, social cohesion, and a good agricultural season in Burkina Faso. These offerings were made after his Yisugu in the local language, also called the fake departure of the Mogonaba. After the Yisugu and the handing over of the animals to the sacrificers, the other act of celebration at the Mogo's palace was a public lecture in the local language on the theme of the osmosis of the beliefs of the people of the land and those in power. On this occasion, the Mogonaba was given a triumphal welcome. Celebration of the Day of Customs and Tradition in Bobo Dioulasso. Chiefs from several villages took part in the great ritual of the Bobo Mandare in Kibidoué. On the initiative of the Council of Bobo Mandare customary chiefs, the ceremony was marked by prayers, libation, and a community meal. In the town of Gawa, 2 sites were identified for the celebration to mark the Day of Customs and Traditions. These were the sacred woods of Tigan in the Tielkan district and the Gan district. In these different sites, the believers sacrificed chickens on the altar of the earth to invoke the protection of the ancestor spirit and pray for the return of peace. The commemoration of May the 15th in Dédougou was marked by sacrifices and visits to sacred places. The celebration was spread over 2 days in the town of Bankui, as Wednesday was not suitable for certain sacrifices. Prior to the celebration, the Ministry of Culture organized a seminar on the customs and tradition on Monday. The 2-day talks focused on spirituality, tradition, and the customary practices in Burkina Faso. The goal was to explain to the public what was at stake in the celebration of the Day of Customs and Tradition. Through this conference, the Ministry of Culture wanted to make clear the government's vision of magnifying and promoting customs and traditions that are disappearing in Burkina Faso, according to the Minister of State, Minister in charge of Culture, Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo. The Nation Living Forces will be convened on the 25th and the 26th of May 2024 for a national conference to follow up the transition. The information was given on Tuesday by the government, which also specified the format and level of preparation for these conferences. On last April the 26th, the MPs of the Transitional Legislative Assembly passed a law for the organization of a national conference. This law gives the government the green light for convening the nation's active forces to follow up the transition. More than 2 weeks after the adoption of this law, the government set the 25th and the 26th of May 2024 for the conference. On April the 26th, the ALT passed a law authorizing the government to organize the national conference within 1 week, so it was necessary to work to meet this deadline. To do this, a committee has already been set up to organize the conference. This is not Burkina Faso's first national conference on the conduct of a transition, and capitalizing on previous experiences is essential to the success of this conference.
Schématiquement, elles ne seront pas différentes des assises passées.
This national conference will be no different from those held in the past. The same living forces will be coming together: civil society, political parties, defense and security forces, among others, who will come together to take stock of the past months and decide on the next steps for the transition. Many Burkinabe citizens are wondering why organize a conference when the question of a continuation of a transition could have been settled by the MPs. The minister in charge of the issue refers to a question of form and legitimacy.
Il faut dire qu'il y a un parallélisme des formes à respecter.
The ELT, which itself stems from the Charter and is an institution of the transition, cannot be considered more legitimate than the National Conference. So we think that the national consultations are more legitimate. According to the current Charter, the transition is coming to an end on July the 1st, 2024, and the conference on the 25th and the 26th of May will enable the transition to be continued. The Professional English School held the third edition of the Kids English Show competition. The 2024 edition brought together 50 children from 5 schools of Ouagadougou around a common goal: learning English. The event was supported by the Education and Communication Agency Improve You. It was an opportunity for youngsters to have fun and test their knowledge in English. Listen to the godmother of the ceremony.
We work closely with all those who really want to improve themselves. So we're happy to be here. I am the one chosen to be the godmother of this third edition of Kids English Show. And I am so happy to see so many children involved in learning English. Not learning, they are completely trying to master it, doing shows. Also what? They have shown us different performances, just like songs, dances. I can't remember because there are so many, and I really want to encourage the steering committee. They are doing a great job. I hope they will continue to boost the children, to show them how to improve their English, and congratulations to all of them. I hope they will keep on the good work, and as much as possible, I will be there to accompany them.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of this news program on the television of Burkina Faso. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. Next time.